Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Please count to 11.
Now I'm really angry. This is fucking war.
And welcome to another episode of the Containment Unit. I'm Tony.
I'm Lindsay.
And for this one, it's actually just going to be the two of us. Because we want to do something a little bit different. The past two episodes have been topic-based discussions. We talked about the controversy on the Ghostbusters reboot. Last time we talked about our favorite reboots and remakes. But something that Lindsay and I don't often get the chance to do as a married couple with young children is to see a movie as soon as it hits theaters. And when we do, we make sure we take a day of it. The grandparents watch the kids, and we got a chance to do that this weekend. So we're going to record a review of Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Mm-hmm. Now, with this one, we do want to tell you right out of the gate, spoiler warning. I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to discuss it without spoilers.
Yeah, no, because we have a tendency to geek out and go, oh my gosh, when this happened and when that happened. So, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, you have been warned. Spoiler alert.
And in case you didn't catch that, spoiler
alert.
Okay, so with the Kingsman, just a little bit of a backstory. When we first saw the original in theaters, absolutely loved that movie.
Mm-hmm. You were even sick when we saw it.
Yeah, and I think I started feeling sick towards halfway towards the end.
No. You were sick when we went up there because we already had the tickets pre-bought and you just weren't feeling it because remember I drove us up there because you weren't feeling well.
Okay, I don't even I remember you driving us back because I said I'm not feeling well.
Yeah, but you weren't, we were worried about, I remember going up, we were worried about you not being able to watch the movie ever again because you would associate it with being sick.
I'm one of those weird people. When I'm sick, don't give me one of my favorite films.
Right.
So I was really concerned about it because with the trailers and everything, I was looking forward to it. Movie blew my expectations out of the water. The original was fantastic. So we hear they're making a sequel. And the very first teaser poster is Harry's glasses with a gunshot, a bullet through one of the lenses, and it says, "The reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated."
Right.
And it's like, shit, I'm on board. Yes. Just
the first thing that we said to each other was, how?
Yeah, because if you haven't seen, the original, go watch that and then turn this back on. But, with the original, Colin Firth's character, Harry Galahad, the Agent Galahad from Kingsman, was shot and killed by Valentine, by Samuel L. Jackson's character, shot right in the left eye. Mm-hmm. And Colin Firth was told during production, no, you're dead.
Yeah, you're gone. Mm-hmm.
We're not planning on bringing you back. Problem is, Colin Firth's a badass, and he's a great actor. Everybody loved him, so they had to find a reason for him to come back. Mm-hmm. So it was very clear they were going to bring him back. There was speculation he was going to be Harry's evil twin or something like that. But no, he is back. Galahad is back. And so
Galahads.
So, so when the last film ended, it was very clear that Eggsy was a Kingsman.
Right, yeah.
And we could assume that he was going to take the role of Galahad.
Yeah. Because Galahad so far, was the only one who had been killed recently.
Yeah, it was the only opening. Right. Other than, Lancelot, Roxy is Lancelot.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward to now. The new Kingsman takes place, I think they said about a year later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it opens full steam ahead.
Yeah.
This movie goes from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds flat.
Yeah, very first thing that happens, Eggsy walks out of his apartment and...
No, he's walking out of the Kingsman. He's walking out of the tailor shop.
He's walking out of the tailor shop, that's right.
And is surprised, not only Eggsy, I think the audience was surprised because we have seen a certain character in the trailers. All we've seen is in the trailers at this point, Eggsy fighting some guy with a robotic arm.
Right.
The arm is shooting off, wrapping around pillars. It's a huge knockdown, drag out fight.
But there's never anything to, like a close up of the face. There's never anything to identify
exactly
who he's fighting.
Yeah, there's no indication of who it is, and who he's fighting walks up to Eggsy and is the second character we see in this film, and it's Charlie. It's the other.
And for people who are really bad with names, Charlie was the other. He was up for Lancelot. He was also training to try and become Lancelot, but he was the one who, on the train tracks, started giving off all the information. He was the big nemesis.
Yeah, he was the last one to fail.
Not the big nemesis, because that was Valentine, but he was like the
of the Kingsman of the
trainees
candidates.
of the candidates. Yeah.
Yeah. So Charlie shows up, and last we saw, Charlie was in Valentine's bunker,
right,
when everybody's heads blew up, and we didn't know at that point. Did he have a chip in his head? How did that go down? Did his head blow up?
It was kind of assumed.
It was definitely assumed because he said his family got him in.
Yeah,
so we could assume, but we never saw it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But for this, Charlie walks up sounding very strange, looking disheveled.
And you hear he holds his right arm out, holding the gun on Eggsy, and you hear these gears moving.
Yeah, it's very mechanical.
Yeah.
And a couple cars come up. We're not going to give you the full breakdown of the movie, but just kind of...
So far we are.
We're painting a picture here. And he and Eggsy get into a fight. Eggsy throws Charlie into his cab and they take off. And it's quickly revealed that Charlie is part robotic at this point.
Yeah.
His whole right arm is robotic. He's got a voice box on. And what is revealed is that in the first movie, when Eggsy shocked Charlie,
him with his ring,
he electrocuted him with his ring. He dislodged the implant. So when the implant blew up, it didn't blow up Charlie's head. It blew out his vocal cords and his right arm.
Blew off his arm, yeah.
So very quickly, we're into a high-speed chase. Familiar characters back, kind of shocking the audience.
Right.
I knew that the actor playing Charlie was listed on the cast list. But so Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, for the flashbacks and stuff. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So it was flash. I had no idea he was going to be the sidekick to the big bad, played by Julianne Moore.
I loved her.
Yeah, and we will get to Poppy here in a second, but the opening scene really set the tone of the film for me.
So often you can see sequels that don't even feel like they should be in the same universe, even though it has the same character names and the same dynamics and everything. But this, it was very fluid. It just blended together so nicely.
Yeah, you could definitely, when this comes out on Blu-ray, you can watch it with the first one as a double feature, and it feels like a 5-hour film.
Yeah.
So the next thing that we really got to address with how hard-hitting this movie is, I really felt like George R.R. Martin wrote the film, because favorite characters are damn sure not safe in this movie.
George R.R. Martin wrote the film with assistance from J.K. Rowling and Joss Whedon.
Yes, because there are definitely some, if you liked the first film, there's going to be some characters in this one that you're going to be going, no, they're not. No, oh no, they are.
I'm kind of wondering though if they could pull off something with one of the characters, since it's already been spoiled by another reviewer, and we've already given spoiler alert.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get into, because this is, one reviewer I was very upset about, because I listened to a review that was advertised as a spoiler-free review. Yeah. And one of the first things they talked about was a major character death.
Right.
And I'm like, you bastards! And I swear it's like they heard me yelling into my iPhone, because they said, well, it's within the first 10 minutes of the movie. Oh, well, that doesn't make it right.
That first 10 minutes, that's still a shocking moment.
Exactly. So the character death is
Roxy, Lancelot.
Yeah, Lancelot from the first film. And they did such a good job reminding you of the chemistry between her and Eggsy just leading up to her death.
Right.
Because what she's doing leading up to her death is she's in Eggsy's ear
feeding him information
because Eggsy has a girlfriend in this. The girlfriend is the princess from the end of the first film, the one that there was the big controversial joke about, if you save the world, we can do it, and all that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah, you're not going to say it.
No, I'm going to get away with a little bit on this, but not that. And that was a reference to Bond films, how Bond beds every woman he saves.
Right.
But the difference between this and a Bond film is that they actually started a relationship. And we see that when she's in England, she's living with him at Harry's old flat.
Right.
So,
which Eggsy inherited when he became Galahad.
And so now Eggsy is going to Sweden, meeting the king and queen, her parents.
Staying in the palace. And he's trying to sound educated. And he's popping off with the stuff. And we're like, all right, Eggsy's really making something of himself. And I'm just thinking he's had this whole year that he's been doing stuff with Kingsman, that he's gotten some knowledge, like he's had to work on certain cases and had to pick up some knowledge for those cases. And that's what I'm thinking. And then you catch that Roxy's in his ear feeding him the information.
He's wearing his Kingsman glasses, so Roxy sees everything he sees, and she's having him look around, and she's like, well, comment on this. And she's feeding him information. Right. And it's really such a sweet moment because he's able to talk back to her because he's looking at letters to send back, you're the best. And she goes, best agent or best friend? And he says,
like both.
So you see, for a year now, they've been each other's best friend. Everything's going great for him. At the same time, one of his friends from his life is kind of a delinquent.
Yeah, I was going to say thug, but thug wasn't really accurate.
More delinquent.
Yeah.
Is watching JB, the pug, at
Galahad's
place. And JB scratches at a door, and you open it up, and it's the office that we see in the first film.
It has all the newspaper clippings all over it, yeah.
And it's such a hard moment because you see all the bare spots from where Harry's used to be on the wall.
Yeah, that Eggsy's taken them all down.
Yeah, but you see now Eggsy started his own, and there's 3 up there.
2. I thought it was just 2.
2 or 3, but it's only been a year.
Yeah.
And then his friend starts playing with things and uncovers Eggsy's arsenal. His vault.
There's like a secret door in the wall or something like that.
And so Eggsy, his friend puts on the glasses. Now Eggsy sees what his friend is seeing. And very quickly
he picks up a
lighter grenade.
Which is the grenade,
And he's about to light it, and Eggsy starts yelling, "Put that down!"
He's yelling at the
He's
dad.
yelling at the king. But again, we're not trying. We love talking about this movie. It was such a fun movie. But
again, I know we said spoiler alert, but I'm going to apologize for how many spoilers are actually going to be here,
because we just want to paint this picture that it's just this really funny moment. It's this very sweet moment because we're seeing one of Eggsy's childhood friends get a taste of what Eggsy's doing, and we're like, oh great, a friend is gonna know.
Yeah, he's gonna be brought into the, maybe not become a Kingsman, no, but he's gonna be like eyes and ears type of thing.
He's gonna help Eggsy somehow.
Yeah, he's gonna be an informant or something.
Play an informant role or some pivotal role. And JB's there, and he's having this great moment with Roxy, and at this moment, Poppy, the lead villain, Julianne Moore, strategically strikes against the Kingsmen and blows up
the
houses and the headquarters of the Kingsmen, including the mansion where Roxy is staying and Galahad's place. So in one swoop, they kill Lancelot, they kill Roxy, who's a character I liked in the first film, You were on the fence.
I did not like her. I just felt like she was a weak character. Like they could have done more with her.
They very much could. It was very much to show that she had what it takes, but she wouldn't have gotten as far as she did without Eggsy.
Yeah.
Which is why I liked it, because they had that relationship. They had that brother-sister. She was never going to be a love interest.
Right,
which is the easy go-to for a lot of things. And it was almost like, it reminded me of Harry and Hermione.
Yeah.
You know, they don't need to be a relationship.
Here's the thing. After everything there, and now we're going on to Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling said that she feels like Harry and Hermione should have been together. It shouldn't have been Ron and Hermione.
It's too easy. That's the easy way to go.
That's the easy way out, yeah. And I like the fact that it wasn't the obvious. I like the fact that it was Ron and Hermione and not Harry and Hermione. And, you know, going back to the actual topic at hand, that's what I like here. You know, she's the only other female that we see aside from Eggsy's mom and baby sister.
He had two of his friends wiped out in one strike. Two of his close friends. All the Kingsmen are wiped out. The new Arthur, played by Michael Gambon. Dumbledore,
yeah.
And
his dog.
He was in there for so little. We didn't get great Michael Gambon.
There's only one scene.
Yeah.
Or maybe two.
Well, there's one scene when we're seeing, oh, this is the new Arthur.
Right.
And then the scene when
he
looks up and goes, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And then it's... And they kill JB.
Yeah.
They kill the dog.
Yeah. And then it's like the last thing you see before all the bombs go off. Just that close-up of this cute little pug face.
That's the cardinal rule. You don't kill the dog.
Pets. Yeah.
So, now we're at this point that the only two people left are Eggsy and Merlin. Mm-hmm. So they initiate what's called the Doomsday Protocol, which takes them to their American counterparts, the Statesmen. Mm-hmm. Now, whereas the Kingsmen started as
a tailor
shop, the Statesmen started as a brewery, and they make whiskey.
Yeah.
And so now there is some fish out of water elements here.
Oh yeah.
Trying to, two proper Englishmen going around America. Yeah. And this is supposed to be in Kentucky, but they really twang it up. Everybody.
It's very stereotypical.
Yeah, very, first time you see Channing Tatum, he comes out with this accent and he's spitting tobacco on the floor and he's got a Winchester repeater for his gun. And it's just...
You got that 10-gallon hat.
Yeah.
And
my mama always told me we got our manners from the English. And it's like, oh my God. Channing Tatum has done some really good work in some action films. Haywire with Gina Carano.
Yeah.
The film opens with those two beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. He does a great job.
I know I watched it with you. I just don't remember.
We'll have to watch it again. But it was just... Channing Tatum was there so they could put on the poster, and starring Channing Tatum.
And then, actually, I thought he did pretty good in 21 Jump Street.
21 Jump Street. 22 Jump Street was my favorite, especially when he finds out that Schmidt is doinking the captain's daughter. That is, if you've never seen 22 Jump Street, you got to Google that scene, because that's all you have to see for 22 Jump Street. But so Channing Tatum, he felt really underused.
Oh, definitely.
And they give a reason to get him out of the movie. He's not
pretty
really
quickly,
in it.
Yeah.
Very quickly. The overall arcing premise of the film is that Poppy, Julianne Moore, is a drug dealer. Mm-hmm. And she has, for months now, been lacing various drugs that her company distributes. Weed, heroin, cocaine. Mm-hmm. They even go down the list.
Yeah, she shows a whole, like with a CGI graphic of it and everything.
Yeah. And she's laced it with a virus that it takes you through stages. First, you get this blue veiny rash. Then you start dancing around and acting all goofy.
Yeah, it's not necessarily dancing around, because it's more just you're like you said, you're goofy. You're kind of your head isn't all there. You're just kind of going a little crazy. So,
Yeah.
a lot of the people did do dancing around because you just start cutting loose and everything.
Yeah, including Channing Tatum. You got Channing Tatum, he's got to dance.
But he didn't do
No, he didn't do Magic Mike.
He didn't do Magic Mike.
He did some really crappy line dancing.
Right.
And then they go into paralysis, and then they die. So
A horrible,
a very
painful-
horrible, bloody, painful
Yeah.
death. So her whole thing is, I've laced this. Millions of people across the world are going to need this antidote that I have.
And
So-
only I have.
And only I have. So, Mr. President, here are my terms. Deregulate, or not...
Legalize.
Legalize all drugs.
And
Tax it.
She makes... I will give this to Poppy. She makes good points.
Not going to deny that in the least bit.
That things like tobacco, cigarettes, alcohol, all these things that you see regularly being used and abused,
And causing a multitude of deaths.
and within the show, within the movie itself, like I mean, the statesmen make whiskey, so you see these things that are legal, but they are highly addictive. They, stuff like that.
Yeah, she even points out that sugar is more addictive
Than
than
cocaine.
anything she peddles.
Yeah, and yet her stuff, because it's so easy to manufacture, that's harder to tax. Like that's why weed has so much trouble, is so demonized.
Yeah.
Sorry, getting political here. Let's get off that
Well,
subject.
no, but that is actually the point of the film.
Yeah,
And this is the point that Poppy is making. And so her terms are legalize it, tax it. She's giving the government full reign to tax the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But just legalize it, allow her to continue to produce it, and full immunity for her and her staff. That's all I say that's all she
That's
asked
all she
for.
asked. She's threatening the lives of millions of
But
people.
she's
That's
not-
all she asked.
She's
for.
not asking for money.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's not like Dr. Evil, $1 million.
Well, it's because she already has so much money,
And that's another point
that
she makes.
That she is the richest woman in the world.
Yeah, she's the most successful female CEO, but because it's in an illegal act,
Right.
she gets no recognition, and that's all she wants.
Right, is recognition for the steps that she's made to become this high ranking person within her own government or her own not government practically, but within her own organization and everything.
And so that's the basic idea of the story and what is taking the story along. And this is where all the strife comes into play. And I love how they'll take you in one direction with it and then go in a different direction for a completely different character, because it starts with them, hey, we're here for this because somebody attacked us, and they find out, oh, she's doing this, and then one of Eggsy's friends starts, he was smoking meth or something like that.
Yeah,
he starts getting the blue stuff.
rash, yeah.
And then it's not immediately explained, but then you see the princess smoking a joint.
What do you mean it's not immediately explained?
Well, it's not immediately, she doesn't immediately pop up with the veins, but you see her in an earlier scene smoking a
marijuana,
joint.
and if
you pay attention, you're like, oh no,
I
you
definitely
know it's
noticed
coming.
that, yeah.
And then, she starts busting out with the blue veins. And then Channing Tatum's character, Agent Tequila. And that's another thing. The Statesmen, whereas the Kingsmen all have Knights of the Round Table names, the Statesmen,
all
in
have...
very American fashion, are all named after alcoholic beverages. Except for Halle Berry, who is ginger ale.
Ale, though.
Yeah, but it's ginger.
Ginger
She's
ale.
named after a soda, while everyone else is named after hard liquor, and the leader is champagne. But anybody that knows well enough knows to call me Champ.
Right.
And that's Jeff Bridges. And
you never actually hear any of their real names, though.
you hear one.
Jack.
Whiskey, and Agent Whiskey it's insinuated his name is Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
But, I like how the whole thing with Poppy starts affecting various characters and various things, bringing it all back into line.
Shows you how widespread how widespread, not how widespread drug use is, but how it affects so many different levels of society. And that's a point that's also made in the movie.
Very much so.
It's how it affects so many different levels of society.
Because, and this is one that I think, I wouldn't be surprised if, in the last film, the final joke about the princess and all that and in her rear end was the controversial point.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if in this current political climate, the president in this film is the point of controversy and contention. Because in this film, it's Bruce Greenwood, who's a great actor. He's played the president before.
And he was in National Treasure too, wasn't it?
National Treasure, Book of Secrets. He was the president. He played Captain and then later Admiral Pike in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films. Great actor. In this, he's playing a complete asshole president.
Right. Yeah.
And again, Southern accent.
Yeah.
It's like every major American in this movie has a Southern accent. And he looks at Poppy's situation and her demands and says, we're going to go with this, but only look like we're going with this. And then we're going to let all the drug users in the country die.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, cold-hearted. And I've already heard people, some people insinuate that maybe they're attacking the current administration with this or making jabs.
They would have started filming this and had it all written before the current administration was there. So.
But still, people are going to find a way to turn this around.
How can they? I mean, seriously, in the first one, they blew up Obama's head.
Yeah, seriously. if you had no problem with that, but you're complaining about this one...
Yeah.
Get your priorities in order. It's a damn movie. They blew up Obama's head. They blew up everybody's head.
They had Obama in the first one agree to letting millions of people become murderously violent against each other.
And now his successor, because it's only a year later, his successor is sitting there saying... I think it'd be a good idea if all the drug users in this country just died a horrible death.
Right.
So it really makes me wonder. It's like, wow, who do they think we're electing over here? But anyway, that becomes a point. Like you said, it's not just affecting like this president thinks. It's not just affecting criminals. It's not just affecting.
Well, look at two people that we've already mentioned. We've already mentioned one of Eggsley's delinquent friends.
Yeah.
And then his girlfriend, who's a princess. And also an agent within the Statesman. And then it's revealed that one of the president's advisors. I thought she was the vice president.
It's never specified.
Yeah.
It's always insinuated that she's just an advisor. They never call her by name. But a major advisor to the president starts getting the blue veins.
And she's trying to get through to him. See, she's like, I work for you 20 hours a day, 7 days a week.
How am I going to do that without a little bit of help?
Yeah. And he's just kind of like, well, you're part of the problem too. See ya. And he has her like...
I'm disappointed in you.
Right.
And then all the people who think they're going to this local stadium in DC, they think they're going there for help.
Yeah, to medical treatment to help them keep from advancing too fast before the...
stage 3 with the paralysis.
Right, yeah. But what's really happening is they're being put into cages and then stacked one on top of each other all the way up to the ceiling of the stadium.
Now, again... this was us talking in the car coming back from the theater.
Yeah, you're basically hearing just the conversation after watching a movie.
Yeah, and so, I mean, again, I think it's very clear at this point, we enjoyed the hell out of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was so much fun. And there's little points that I do want to delve into more. And one of those is the resurrection of the original Galahad.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the...
Oh, no, we're going to get to that great point here. I'm saving that one. But...
Okay, so the resurrection of Galahad.
Yeah, so the resurrection of Galahad. And like we already mentioned, when they filmed the first movie, they told Colin Firth he's dead. And then they toyed with ideas to bring him back. And then the way that they brought him back, and it's not... Oh, he just looks like Galahad.
It's not an evil twin.
It's not an evil twin. It's Harry.
Yeah.
Isn't it Harry Hart or something like that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's Harry Hart. They bring him back. And the way that they explain it interjecting new footage into the original film.
It was a brilliant cut.
Amazing.
Yeah, the way they did that was very nicely done.
Because we know for a fact from the way the writers and the director spoke, this was not in the works when they did the first film. So they're going in and saying, well, we did this. We can fit this in here. We can fit this in here. Freaking seamless.
I felt like the concept of how they brought him back was a little far-fetched, but then if you look at the technology that they use...
Everything in this is really far-fetched.
Like Whiskey's electrified whip or whatever, his lasso.
Yeah.
It's all definitely far-fetched.
It's all Bond-style far-fetched stuff.
Yeah.
So I could buy that. I just loved that it didn't feel forced.
Yeah.
It very much, they were able to pick and choose their moments.
Yeah.
To where it felt like it fit in with what they had always planned.
Yeah.
And there's several moments throughout the film where they go back to the original and then tie it into what they're doing now, and it all fits.
And, and I did feel like Harry being brought back was a little forced, but like I said, it's because I felt like the method in which they brought him back was a little far-fetched.
It was. They basically what happens is, and this part makes definite sense, that it was in the country. It may have even been in Kentucky.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, the church.
Well, she even says 11 miles away from where they are.
Oh, that's right.
So
yes,
it's really close by.
So in the first film, there is that iconic church scene done to Freebird.
Yeah.
And where everybody just violently kills each other.
That needs to be done to bodies.
Yeah, to let the bodies hit the floor. And so we have that in Kentucky. The Statesmen are in Kentucky,
right.
and I'm really convinced that they were just like, we're going to make the Statesmen in Kentucky just so we can relate this. But they get wind of what's going on, and they land a helicopter just moments after Valentine left.
They don't so much get wind of what's going on. Ginger Ale is Ginger Ale's like the Merlin, and she's getting like really high.
She picked up the signal,
really high like energy frequencies or something like that going on. So like we got to go check this out.
Yeah,
and when
the signal that Valentine's
sets off to get everybody going
phones.
crazy. Yeah,
yeah. And so they have this weird thing that all statesmen use. Like if they have head trauma, it wraps around their head and. Like I didn't know if
it's like a gel
stuff.
thing or something that I don't know.
It was very sci-fi. It was a very ridiculous Bond gadget moment.
Right.
But it explains how
it's not like an exploding lighter though.
It's like Harry was I think we referenced this last episode. It was like the Princess Bride. He wasn't dead. He was mostly dead.
And then they talk about like nanobites and stuff
nanotechnology. That was a little.
And that's where I feel like it was a little forced.
Definitely.
Because even Harry in the first one makes comments about how technology has caught up to what the Kingsmen are in some regards, because he talks about, they look over and he sees like the tablets, the iPads. Yeah. And he's like, oh, what do those do? He's like, oh, those are just iPads. Modern technology has caught up to what the Kingsmen have. So that the Kingsmen regularly have this seriously advanced technology. And then there's one scene in this one where Champ even makes a joke about how you can see how much more our technology is advanced than yours.
Well, it was not only that, it was the money, because he was pointing out the fact that tailors in England might be making a pretty penny,
right.
But then you got whiskey dealers in the States who are making serious bank.
Right.
And if you hear the clanging of ice, it's because we decided that...
You decided.
Or, hey, we're talking about Kingsman, they're talking about whiskey, so...
I'm not a whiskey drinker. I had Baileys.
But with Harry, I felt like he was the most interesting part of the film.
Yeah. Oh, that one scene, though.
Because with Harry's condition, when they first find the Statesman, the area...
Right.
The distillery. They're caught by Agent Tequila.
Yeah, Tequila.
Agent Channing Tatum.
Channing Tate Yum.
Yeah.
Sorry, I heard that somewhere, and I was just like,
no, that's in This Is the End.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, It's the apocalyptic film.
Yeah.
And
I know.
so
I know
it's,
what you're talking about.
Yeah, Danny McBride, his little gimp sex slave is Channing Tatum. And they're like, Channing Tatum? Yeah, I call him Channing Tate-Yum. And then ever since then, whenever he's on TV, I look at you and I say it. But so they're caught by Channing Tatum, and Channing Tatum thinks that they're there to break Harry out. They don't know who Harry is.
Yeah.
Because
Harry has amnesia.
he has amnesia due to the procedure. To Harry, he has reverted back to his younger self before he ever joined the army, and then subsequently joined the Kingsman. So at this point in his life, Harry studies butterflies.
Which is why in his bathroom,
I loved that.
I love that touch.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Because I always wondered why is his bathroom filled with butterflies?
Yeah, in the very first film, they show his bathroom because he has Mr. Pickle in there, his dog. But if you
Mr. Pickles reminds me of that every time I take a shit.
And if you look around, he's got specimens of butterflies.
Yeah.
You're focused on this dead mounted dog.
Yeah.
On this shelf that says Mr. Pickle.
Because that is the focus, you know?
But it makes sense that before he got into the army, Harry wanted to study butterflies. And so they're trying to get him back, and they've been told that if there's some kind of shock to the system, a traumatic instance, then it'll bring everything back.
But it has to be a traumatic instance that matches something that actually happened in his life.
Exactly. And they try to recreate part of his training from the Kingsman.
Yeah.
And I was convinced at that point he was going to figure it out. And
I
then
thought he was going to go for like the toilet or the shower rod that was over on the side.
the what they call them, the loose snorkels.
I don't know.
And all stuff from the first film.
Right.
And then Eggsy gets the idea.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the most intense scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
But
the way Colin Firth just turned it on.
There's a reason Colin Firth has that golden statue. This man is a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
And basically what happens...
As wonderful as Mr. Darcy, too.
Well, you're a Pride and Prejudice freak. So,
I am, that's true.
Oh, and I don't mean that bad. It's just that's one of your favorite,
Yeah.
So Eggsy gets the idea of what would be traumatic. And Colin Firth's acting pulls off this scene. Because what Eggsy does is recreate what is probably the most traumatic moment in the Kingsman training.
Yeah.
Shoot the dog.
Yeah.
And he goes to a local pet store in Kentucky.
Finds a puppy.
Finds a puppy that looks exactly like Mr. Pickle. And while Harry's sitting there, oh, how sweet, Eggsy pulls a gun on it. And it is the best scene in the film, just from an acting perspective.
Yeah.
So then Harry's back, kinda. Like, we see everything going on in his head.
He's like hallucinating butterflies.
Yeah, and that's part of the process coming back. But again, it just goes to the credit of Colin Firth as an actor, playing the very innocent Harry, and then switching back over to badass military Kingsman Harry.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have it all together yet.
Yeah.
Because he tries to do the manners maketh man scene.
But he's missing an eye, so his depth perception's
off, and he misses with the glass and gets his ass beat.
Yeah, and then even later on, he tries to shoot the thing from his watch, the knockout thing from his watch, and he hits the computer instead of the guy he's aiming for.
I think I was in the bathroom. I missed that part.
Oh, did you miss that part?
Yeah, I missed that part.
He's sitting at that one desk and they're like, Harry, you gotta close the door. You gotta close the door. And he's sitting there and he's like trying to swat away butterflies that aren't there.
Yeah. So he's able, as an actor, Colin Firth is able to do the innocence of the character, then go back to his original character, but also add in that little bit of goofiness
kind of off.
Yeah, he's a little off. And they even tell him, you just now got all your memories back.
Yeah.
And when he gets his memories back, first thing he does is look at Eggsy and say, we've got to stop Valentine. He's
Yeah.
back into the moment.
Yeah.
And then they have to debrief him, and they basically, I wish they would have kept that in. I wanted to see
the debriefing.
the debriefing just to see if he had a look of pride on his face when he finds out that Eggsy did all of this.
Yeah. Well, that's, because I'm hoping they've talked about doing a third one. And I don't know if that's still going to be in the works because of that one.
Well, yeah, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about that in a little
Right.
bit. Some plans for the reported third film
Right.
are a little awry right now.
But, my hope is that in this one, we got to see Eggsy and Harry as a team.
Yeah.
You got to see, like in the first one, it was very much Eggsy coming into his own and Harry being the mentor. In this one, it was them working side by side, and you see beautifully how well they play off of each other.
And that was the big thing with the end of the first film, is that it was Eggsy going solo with everything. And it was very much him having to kind of play that role of Bond.
Yeah.
And what we have here now is that in the final fight, it's not Eggsy alone. Mm-hmm. It's now Eggsy and Harry, the two Galahads together.
Right.
And they literally tag team it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it works beautifully.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are very familiar with the action. And that's not a bad thing. And like we said earlier, when the film opens... Mm-hmm. It's very much showing you the same kind of action, the same kind of effects.
Right.
So you know what you're getting. Mm. And when they storm Poppy's base in Cambodia, it is the same kind of acrobatic fighting from Eggsy because he does have some gymnastics background.
Right.
But now you're adding in Harry, and they're swapping out. Mm-hmm. Where Eggsy is providing backup for Harry, and then it swaps around
and,
where Harry is now back up. And it was beautifully done.
Yeah.
And at the end, and I think we may talk about this later, but in the ultimate final fight, they literally pull like a freaking WWE tag team move on the guy they're fighting to take him out. And it really shows the camaraderie. It shows the chemistry between them. And Taron Egerton. Is it Taron?
I don't know. But quick question. Who they're fighting in that last fight? We have not said anything about that. Is that one thing that we're keeping a spoiler free?
Let's see how this goes.
Okay.
But yeah, it's Taron Egerton who plays Eggsy.
Right.
He's just as good, if not better, than the first film. He kind of came on the scene with Kingsman.
Right, yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, who's this? And then he recently did a film with like Hugh Jackman or somebody.
It wasn't recently. It was probably about a year or so ago that he did it. And he was like an
Olympic skier or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It was a winter sport.
Yeah.
So.
But, in this, it really shows how much he's grown as an actor.
Yeah.
But it also shows the chemistry he has with Colin Firth, and those two together just make the film.
Yeah.
And we kind of touched on this for a second. Another thing that makes the film, and it's something that you're not going to see coming.
Well, you will now.
You will now, and again, spoiler, but the funniest part of the movie, and the part where
you get a hint at it.
You get a hint at it
yeah.
when you see Eggsy's newspaper clippings. But the best part of the movie, the most comedic part in the movie, Elton John.
Yeah. As Elton John.
As Elton John.
Not as himself, as Elton John.
Yeah, this is Elton John playing kind of a character of himself. And basically the premise is he's been kidnapped by Poppy to perform at her will at Poppyland, which is in Cambodia. And because she grew up with parents from the 50s, or she grew up in the 50s.
I think it was more like 50s inspiration, because she said she grew up with like Grease and, those type of movies.
Yeah, so she makes her whole base look like an area from the 50s. So there's like a malt shop, there's a burger joint, there's little salon,
there's a donut shop with like the actual big donut.
Yeah, and there's a movie, like a classic movie theater.
Right.
She made it all look like the 50s. And in the theater is Elton John playing in full Elton John regalia.
And she named her 2 robotic dogs
Benny and Jet.
Yeah.
And so Elton John is just, every time he's on screen, he steals the movie. And there's a part where he's playing something and they look over and they see that he's got the blue rash starting up on his face. That's, Elton, have you been a bad boy again?
She's one of those bad guys. You kind of like her because she is just,
she's so sweet.
Until she does something bat crap crazy, she is just the sweetest person.
Yeah, she is so sweet, and it's just, and that's kind of what I liked about her. Is it's kind of in the same vein as Samuel L. Jackson as
charming.
Valentine. He was charming. He was a nice guy. Just was, like you said, bat crap crazy, and what he wanted to do was going to end up killing a lot of people.
Yeah.
And with this, Elton John is sampling some of the drugs on the compound, so he's got the blue veins coming up, and when they use him as the example of what happens when you get the cure and how it cures you. And when he takes it, he turns around and just starts cussing out the doctor.
No, first he cusses out Poppy.
Yeah,
and then he starts cussing out the doctor.
I think most of the F-bombs in this movie came from Elton John.
Yes.
And so here's, again, we're going to spoil it just because we want to talk about this. It is just so much fun. That he's got to play, as it's revealed, he has to play for the enjoyment of anybody on the compound,
right,
including the henchmen.
Yeah.
And so he's playing, and Eggsy and Harry, Galahad and Galahad storm the base. Mm-hmm. And
it's funny that you say storm the base when there's only 2 of them.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny is, though, again, I think I need to watch Princess Bride or something, because when I say storm the base, I'm imagining Billy Crystal. Have fun storming the castle.
You've been referencing Princess Bride.
I know. I think I need to sit down and watch it. But so they launch their attack, and the alarms go off, and Elton John looks up and says, "Is this a rescue? I don't know, maybe." And that's like enough encouragement for Elton John to get up and start whooping some ass. He starts fighting people and starts busting out karate moves. It's very clearly CGI.
He does that running jump sidekick, and then it freeze frames, and he turns and he winks at the camera.
Just imagine Elton John in full glittery Elton John regalia.
It wasn't glitter, it was feathers.
Well,
he had the glitter like on the top.
Yeah, he has like all the sequins and the rhinestones and
he looks like he's in a rainbow chicken suit.
Yeah, and his peacock. I mean, this is stuff that he wears on.
Right, yeah.
He's wearing his big ass red glasses the whole film. And then he just stops mid sidekick and winks at the audience. And I can't tell you if there was any lines after that moment, because everybody in the theater
was laughing,
just
so hard.
Erupted in laughter. Elton John, by far, and this is a great movie, the most comedic and probably funniest part of the film. Now, one thing I do want to address is they use Elton John
perfectly
to make fun of the controversial joke in the first film.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking of when Harry is got the bowling balls and is seated behind Elton John.
So Elton John actually helps during the final fight while Eggsy is fighting Charlie.
Yeah.
Harry is fighting Benny and Jet, the robotic dogs, which
are programmed to not hurt
Elton John. So there's this huge dramatic fight in the bowling alley in Poppyland, and we see it through the view of the dog, And then Elton John's smiling face just pops in the frame.
The dog is chasing Harry and you see
ready to jump in for the kill.
Right. And then next thing you know, the smiling Elton John face just comes right into frame. And it's like you expect to see his teeth twinkle with the type of smile that he
And it
gives.
just comes up on the dog's readout. Elton John, friend. And so now Harry proceeds to kick the living shit out of the dogs from behind Elton John.
Okay, I think you... Okay,
I'm sorry,
you
I want to go see this movie so bad again after talking about it. Because it is so ridiculous. It is funny. And
now there are some people who don't like ridiculous. You know?
But for this and what they're trying to do, because Kingsman is very much a modern take of the Roger Moore Bond films.
Okay. See, you know how I'm not very familiar with,
No, I know. You've been familiar with the Daniel Craig films. Because since we've been together...
Those are the ones that have come out.
Those are the ones that have come out. We've
together.
seen every single Daniel Craig film in the theater. Because I drag you to go see them. But
I can appreciate the art of them.
Yes, you can. But the Roger Moore films are considered the most ridiculous Bond films.
Okay.
And so this is a modern take on those gentleman spy Roger Moore films.
Right.
So they're going to be ridiculous. And they know that. And they make them funny.
Yeah.
Where they have to be.
Yeah.
Because there was absolutely nothing funny about Eggsy and Charlie fighting.
Yeah. Oh, that was I love what Eggsy does in that fight.
Oh, it's such a brutal fight, especially we are going to pull back a little bit. The way that it ends, yes, Eggsy got everything he wanted.
Yeah.
In the end of that fight, and it had to happen that way.
Yeah.
But also because of what preceded the storming of the base, we needed some comedy.
Yeah.
The audience needed...
Who would have thought that John Denver's Country Road could make you
my God.
Even being sung so poorly.
Yeah, and the fact is that there's... I don't know, should we...
I don't know, I feel like that's one you can't spoil.
There's... I think some people, if anyone's listening to this that hasn't seen the film yet, even though we've given a spoiler warning... I think they're going to, once they see the movie, they're going to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
There is a character death just before the storming of the castle.
Yeah.
Before the storming of the base, not the storming of the castle. Just before the storming of the base, a character sacrifices themselves. And I teared up. Because this was one of my favorite characters in all of Kingsman.
He's such a brilliant character.
And I think at this
so
point
funny.
we kind of have to give it up.
Yeah, because I think people are going to be able to deduce.
Yeah, and again, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen the film with all the spoiler warnings, it's your own damn fault. Merlin gets killed. Mark Strong.
Oh.
And while he's standing on a landmine, ready to pull his foot up, he's singing Country Road. And it's just like, yeah, he's not doing a good job.
No, he's not doing a good job.
But it's like bringing a tear to my eye.
They've also got like orchestral music over with the choir in the background singing with them and everything. And so they're really punching that heartfelt, sound, that heartfelt music and everything.
He definitely has the most epic and meaningful death.
Oh, yeah.
In
the whole
either film.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
because Harry's in the first one was just so it came out of nowhere. It was just so shocking, and
that's how it worked.
That's how it worked that way.
It really shocked the audience. And in this, it is Eggsy steps on a landmine, and Merlin knows how to disarm it for a split second, just enough time for him to step on it.
Yeah.
Oh, but it drags on, and you're just waiting for it to happen. You're like, no, I like Merlin.
Normally when people say it drags on, that has a negative connotation to it, like dragging on a joke for too long or something like that. But no, this drags on to build up the suspense to really help you feel what is happening.
And
it just builds the emotion up.
Oh, and the emotion is there, especially in the performances of Colin Firth and Taron Egerton.
When they step out of you get those close-ups of their faces, like, oh, they're pissed.
Yeah, because they take moments in this rendition of Country Road that Merlin is singing, to pan over and kind of give a nod to Harry, and then give a nod to Eggsy. Oh, it tears at the heartstrings.
And then after he's gone, that's when they do the close up of their faces and everything after the landmine has gone off and everything. And because Merlin, what he's doing, the reason why he's singing is because he's drawing the other henchmen over to catch them in the blast.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 guards at the front door.
Yeah.
And they even say, and I was wondering if this was going to come into play, hey, Poppy, are you expecting another lawyer?
Yeah.
Because Poppy's lawyer looks remarkably like Mark Strong.
Yeah. But then, after that whole incident happens, they did those close-ups on Eggsy and Harry's faces, and it was no longer the teary-eyed, I wish I could save you type of look. It's now... shit's going down.
Yeah, shit's on.
Yeah.
No one's getting out of this.
Right.
And one thing I do want to bring up is that we've already mentioned the church scene in the first film, which was shocking to audiences. I remember when we saw it, we were just...
jaw dropped.
Just blown away. And it's been parodied... I think kind of recently with Family Guy.
So funny.
Which again, just Google Family Guy Kingsman, and they do a really good job. But nobody had ever seen that level of action and violence. And luckily with this film, they don't try to repeat it.
Yeah.
They know that they raised the bar with the church scene. They don't try to do it again.
Hit that bar. It'd be forcing it to try to hit that bar again.
Yeah, so they don't really try to recapture that. They just take it in a different direction. And the siege on Poppyland was kind of their version of it.
I feel like that was a mix between, because you said it reminded you of the church scene. To me, it reminded me of Eggsy running through the halls at Valentine's
Very much
Base.
so. Yes, it felt like a blend of those two, because it did have music attached to it. It was meant to be kind of, just watch all of this going on, and then we're going to stop for a second and go into something else.
Yeah, it was meant to be, drop dead crazy. Things are going on here, everywhere. And, but then at the same time, you have the dynamic of they are, it's the final battle. It's the final showdown. They're going to the base of the big bad to take them down.
Yeah.
So.
And we've gotten to a point in this discussion that we've already talked spoilers, and I kind of want to talk about it. Agent Whiskey.
Okay, so that was what I was asking about earlier. Yeah. Do we want to leave this?
And that's why I said, let's see how it
goes.
goes. I just think it bears talking about that earlier in the film, Harry shoots Agent Whiskey right in the face.
Yeah.
And he says he showed his hand, that he's going to betray us.
Yeah.
And even the audience is sitting there going, what?
Yeah. I mean, I saw what he was talking about,
Well, because at this point in the movie, Eggsy has gotten his hands on a cure.
Right.
And they're in the kind of, I think they're in the Alps or something, or they're in Italy, but they're basically up in a snowy cabin. And Agent Whiskey says, someone's coming, and pushes Eggsy out of the way, and Eggsy drops the cure, and it breaks.
But you do actually see someone coming behind. You do see that they are under attack.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, is Harry just seeing things, or is he right? And Agent Whiskey is
like a double agent or something.
Yeah, maybe working for Poppy.
Yeah.
And then it gets down to the final fight. Poppy's dead, and Agent Whiskey shows up. And I thought this was a beautiful way to do things. Agent Whiskey is not a double agent.
Yeah. Really quick, because, we already said that he was shot in the head. Just a reminder about how they saved Harry was with this gel stuff that goes over the head.
Yeah.
And
they save him in the exact same way they save Harry.
Yeah.
And do the exact same thing with him that they did for Harry, a shock to the system.
Reliving a traumatic moment, yeah.
Which plays into the end of the film.
Right. Why he's turned his back.
Yeah, he's not a double agent, but he agrees with the President of the United States.
Right.
That they're all druggies.
Yeah, they should all die. Yeah.
Let them die.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was a great way to go.
Yeah. Because the double agent thing is just so cliche.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's overdone. And he wasn't a double agent. He was a guy with his own agenda at this point.
And his agenda was his high school sweetheart, pregnant with their child, was caught in the crossfire of some meth heads.
Yeah.
And so he's looking at this as, we have an opportunity to let meth heads and other druggies in this world die.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
And so it now turns into a fight of Eggsy and Harry against Agent Whiskey trying to, because at this point, the Kingsmen have the code to release the cure to everybody in the world. And Agent Whiskey wants to stop them. Right.
Now, the thing that I like about this also is that, Agent Whiskey, he wants to let this cure get out because of, he wants to make sure this cure doesn't get out. He wants to let all these people die because of what happened to his high school sweetheart and his unborn child. And you would think that as a statesman, he's supposed to be gentlemanly and honorable and everything.
They even call him out on that.
And you would think that the fact that he has a friend who is dying because of this stuff, that would kind of show him that there are all types of people, but he's just kind of like, at this point, his anger and his grief, and that is just taking over every other aspect of logic, of emotion that he could possibly have.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, up until this point, Agent Whiskey is a phenomenal character.
Like a good guy.
He is a great guy. And I don't think anybody that has lost a loved one can really fault the character for feeling the way that he does.
Yeah.
It's just, dude, you're in a job that protects the innocent.
Yeah, it's a matter of, it's the whole idea of, it's what you do. It's however you feel, it's what you do.
Yeah, and that's a point where his personal ideals is getting in the way of the oath he has sworn to become a statesman. And I really look at him as a tragic hero. I don't look at him as a villain.
Would you really? I mean, how can you say tragic hero though when he's trying to allow millions of people to die?
Because up until this point, he has been on the side of the statesman and the Kingsman. He has defended his partners in every step of the way. It's just when it comes to the cure, that's when he has some villain-esque tendencies. I can't call him the villain.
No.
Because he has absolutely no connection to Poppy, Charlie, or anybody in that organization.
Or the actual incident that's going on. If the incident had never happened, this never would have been an issue. He still would have been a statesman.
Exactly. So I still say, to a degree, Agent Whiskey can be a hero because he does do heroic things. And he does take out Poppy's men. It's just when it gets down to it, his whole thing is just like the president. Now, the president in this is scum.
Yeah, his idea is, hey, we just won the war on drugs. And,
and that's a line right out of the movie. He's like, as far as I'm concerned, we just won the war on drugs.
Yeah.
It's like, what a dick! And here, you have a reason for it. You have a reason for Agent Whiskey feeling the way that he does, which I thought was such a beautiful ending.
Yeah.
Because it really tears you. Because I guarantee you, there were people in that audience that were thinking, if this was real life, I kind of get it.
Yeah. And, I'm sure I understand his feelings on the matter. But that's still, to me, that's no reason to let millions of people die.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, that's the thing, is he is ultimately the final battle. Agent Whiskey is the final fight in this film. But when it comes down to it, he's not really the villain of the film.
Yeah.
Poppy is the villain.
Yeah.
Charlie is the sidekick that has the physical deformity.
Right.
Like
Gazelle.
In the first film. So that's why I'm not going to say Agent Whiskey's a good guy, because ultimately what he's doing is a bad thing. But I do say it's tragic because you look at his history, you can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And me, being a husband and a father, I do see things in movies where the wife is killed or the children are killed. And it's kind of like, I don't condone what they're doing, but I get it. Like, just tying in with this movie, one of the trailers we saw.
Yeah.
Death
Wish.
Wish. A remake of Death Wish, the old Charles Bronson film, with Bruce Willis. And seriously, that is a movie where you're like, this dude's a vigilante just killing random people. But at the same time, it's like he's looking for the guys that killed his wife. I get it.
Is it really random, though? I mean, he's not exactly, killing the person who's just walking down the street. But he's killing bad guys. The people that he's killing, though, he's targeting them. He's finding out about these people, and then he's going after them. So they're not really random. They are targeted. It's just he's hitting these people while he's trying to find the people who killed his wife.
Exactly.
So.
But also in the original Death Wish films, which I think went to like 5 or 6.
I never saw any of them. So
I watched them when I was a kid. It's so far ago I can't even tell you exactly what they were about. But it is all a revenge story. And then it's a guy going vigilante. It's like The Punisher. Basically, that's what it is. So, again, I get where Agent Whiskey's coming from, but I don't agree with it.
Right. On an emotional level.
Exactly, yeah. So, and again, what they do to take out Agent Whiskey was basically a double team move for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And when we saw this, we saw it in a theater that serves full on food. This wasn't a theater where you just get nachos or popcorn. Yeah. This was one of those theaters that serves a full meal. And I feel horrible for anybody that ordered a hamburger for this movie, because part of Poppy's
manner of punishment,
but also proof of loyalty.
Yeah.
She brings in 2 guys and is like, oh, so you say Angel is very loyal. Is that right? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Angel, your friend screwed up. Stick him in the grinder.
It's a full-on meat grinder, like to create ground beef.
Yeah. And once this guy realizes his buddy is a traitor, sticks him in the grinder, and he goes to get his golden circle tattoo, and then he comes back. She's made a burger out of his meat.
Yeah.
And serves it to him. And the whole time I'm watching this, I'm thinking, thank God I ordered the steak sandwich. And I'm also thinking, why isn't there clothing in this?
Well, you saw the clothing get spit out the other side.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, as he's going in, you see the clothing getting spit out the other side, and then the meat comes out of the...
Okay, we're definitely going to have to see this again, because I didn't even notice that.
No?
I was wondering why there wasn't shards of shirt and shoes in this, but yeah, it's...
there wouldn't have been shards of shoes, because remember
his feet weren't in there yet.
That was funny.
But by the end of it, I mean, that's kind of the giveaway that
and I think we just spoiled everything.
We spoiled this whole damn movie.
We spoiled the whole damn movie.
I don't care.
Even the parts I'm sitting there going, maybe we shouldn't spoil that part of the movie.
I don't care. We're just enjoying ourselves talking about this film. But by the end of it, there is, everything's wrapped up. The cure is out. Mm-hmm. And then there's a couple questions that are brought up that really lay the groundwork for Kingsman 3. First question, how are they going to deal with 2 Galahads?
Yeah.
And I think that's an easy resolution because ultimately they are the only 2 members of Kingsman that are alive.
Yeah.
Nobody else, including Merlin, is alive at this point.
Yeah, so I'm thinking Harry Galahad should be the new Arthur.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way to go.
Yeah.
Because it would be kind of strange to call either one of them Lancelot or any other name associated.
And then also with Harry now missing that eye, he it's one of those things where, I don't want to say give him a desk job, but it's like he's always going to have that blind spot over there when fighting,
Yeah, definitely. It didn't show up too much in the final fight,
right?
But it is something to be aware of, and it's something they talked about.
Even if he works on it and gets his depth perception focused, and he understands the differences in the way he used to see and the way he sees now and everything, there's still always going to be that blind spot over there. He's not going to be able to see if the bad guy's coming off from his left.
Yeah, his left side.
Yeah, off from his left side.
If James Bond loses an eye, they're going to find a new 007.
Right.
So in this case, Eggsy's the new is still Galahad, and then Harry is the new Merlin, and
Arthur.
The new Arthur, and they're going to rebuild. They're going to bring in a new Merlin. They're going to bring in new agents, and one of the new agents is teased at the end of this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if it's just a tease or if it's what they're actually going to do in the next film.
Yeah.
And that is Channing Tatum, fully cured, Agent Tequila, shows up in England
wearing a Kingsman suit.
Wearing a full Kingsman suit
and
in cowboy boots. He's wearing cowboy boots.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and that's what caught my attention is I'm like, okay, he's wearing cowboy boots, and I'm like, okay, so did Eggsy get some boots as thanks for coming out here, boy.
Right.
And then it pans up, and it's Channing Tatum in a Kingsman suit and a bowler hat walking into the new Kingsman shop.
Right.
And even when you look it up online, it's referenced that he is joining the Kingsman.
Yeah. And I didn't know if this was just going to be like a thing of he's, fitting in while he's like doing a stint over there to kind of see how the difference in the way things work or whatever.
Yeah.
But apparently, no, he actually is a Kingsman now.
Yeah, and so I think that's going to be interesting. I'm wondering if he's still going to be Agent Tequila, or if he's going to be Lancelot, or if he's going to be Robin, or one of the other Knights of the Round Table. But I think one of the things that we need to discuss real quick before we wrap up is what we have read as the plan for a further film.
Mm-hmm.
And something that is brought up in the film is the princess and her family.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically the king of Sweden.
Right.
And the actor, and I should have done my due diligence, I'm sorry I didn't look up his name, but the actor who plays Princess Tildy's father passed away just after making Kingsman.
Right.
And from what we've read, he was actually supposed to be a major character in a planned third film for the Kingsman. So it really makes me wonder where they're going to go from now. We definitely have the groundwork. I would be surprised if this wasn't an outright success. I'm going to be amazed if tomorrow, because we're recording on the weekend, I'm going to be amazed if they don't announce that Kingsman was #1 at the box office for the weekend.
Yeah. What was the king's name? Like the character's name?
Oh, that's... I honestly don't even remember if they said that. But, the actor passed away, I think in February or something. And last I read, because I was reading up before we recorded, that they were going to make him a major character, as a major driving force. Not necessarily the villain, but a major player in the next film.
Yeah.
So
I still wonder if they could still do that, not in the whole, CG him in or anything type of way, but whatever it was, like if it wasn't a villain role, but it was like something about his past coming back to haunt, like it could still be the whole thing of, but instead have it affect Princess Tildy instead. Like whatever happened to her dad is now coming forward. And
absolutely, absolutely, and they lay the groundwork for that in this film, where Harry mentions that when he died, nothing went through his mind.
Yeah, or
when he was shot. Yeah. Nothing went through his mind.
He had no connections, nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's at this point where Eggsy basically spills his heart to Harry and says, I've got a girlfriend. She's affected by this. I need to save her. So it very well could be a situation where now they just move it over to the Queen.
Yeah.
And, hey, this is going on. Eggsy's now wife... is in this situation, and that's the catalyst for the third film.
Yeah.
All in all, after this film and after the first film, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I just want to see what they do.
But I hope they don't decide to not do anything because that actor passed away.
Exactly.
I hope that they figure something out and get it all put in. So.
And at this point, I have faith in Matthew Vaughn as a director. Matthew Vaughn has directed some of my favorite films over the last several years. Both Kingsman films, Kick-Ass, X-Men First Class, and Layer Cake. So the guy knows how to direct some really interesting films. As long as he is signed on for another Kingsman... give me any story you like. I'm going to have faith that he can fix it. My concern now, though, is that Matthew Vaughn is rumored for another franchise.
Oh, really?
And if he signs on for this, I'm scared he's not going to do the next Kingsman.
What's the franchise?
Superman.
Oh, really?
Yes. Matthew Vaughn has confirmed that he is in talks to direct the direct sequel to Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Because Batman vs. Superman was the sequel to Man of Steel, but it was more a Batman film than anything.
Right, yeah.
So the next straight-up Superman film, Matthew Vaughn has confirmed he has been talking to Warner Brothers and DC. I think he'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But there's also a part of me that is like, no, I saw what happened to the X-Men film. I wanted to see another X-Men film directed by Matthew Vaughn after First Class. And what happened is we got Bryan Singer back.
Yeah.
Which he didn't do a bad job, but I wanted to see more Matthew Vaughn.
Right.
So I want to see another Kingsman directed by Matthew Vaughn. After Kingsman, after Kick-Ass, the guy knows how to do comic book adaptations. So I have no fear about Superman. I just hope he can balance the two. So overall, I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give Kingsman: The Golden Circle?
See, why'd you have to ask that question? I don't know.
Because we're kind of reviewing this. Yeah. I mean, we're ranting and raving about our favorite parts, but we are kind of meaning this to be a review.
I don't think I'm ever going to give anything a 10 because nothing can really achieve perfection. There's always going to be
room for improvement.
Room for improvement. But I don't know, maybe a solid 8.
And definitely get that. I'm going to go with an 8 as well. I don't think it is better than the first.
No.
I think, if nothing else, it is on par with the first.
Yeah, I definitely felt like it was on par. Like, I liked it as much, but not more than.
Exactly. And I think very highly of the first Kingsman. It's one of my go-to films for just having fun.
Yeah.
And I think that is something very important to mention when it comes to this film. Is it's a lot of fun, but it's a good movie at the same time.
Yeah.
And one of my mottos in when it comes to films, because I'm such a geek for films, is good movies aren't always enjoyable, and enjoyable movies aren't always good. This is the best of both worlds. It is so much fun. It is enjoyable, and it's a good film.
Yeah.
So I think 8 out of 10, spot on. It's not a perfect film. There's definitely points you're going to be, oh, why did they do that? Oh, I didn't like this. but 8 out of 10, maybe 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Going to be one of the best films of 2017.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I do, want to wrap this up. I want to say thank you for everyone that's listening. And coming up very soon, we've got a long list of podcast topics that we're going to be discussing. But I think by the time this comes out, the next one we're going to have to record is we're going to have to do a Halloween one. We're going to definitely be talking about the films that we love and the films that our fellow members of the Phoenix Ghostbusters love when it comes to Halloween and what sets the tone for Halloween. But we've got a lot of topics in store. We've got, we were originally going to talk about Star Wars this week, but then this came up and we're like, no, we got to talk about Kingsman.
Right.
But we're going to talk about Star Trek. And tonight was the premiere of the new season, or I'm sorry, the new series. Definitely going to get a chance to watch that, but we've also been watching Orville and enjoying the hell out of that. But we've got a long list of topics, but if you guys got anything you want us to talk about, any suggestions, the Containment Unit Podcast at gmail.com. And you can also find us online at facebook.com/the Containment Unit Podcast. But a big thank you. Thank you so much for bearing with us today. This was just our chance to talk about a movie we loved and have a lot of fun talking about it. And I hope you had a lot of fun listening to it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Now you listen here. It's not the Messiah. It's a very